Specna arms. What they brought to us onto the table for today's products is mainly the stuff that we would want on an airsoft field or even in the milsim games. The performance, the advantages that you would see, and as well as the reliability. And let's be real, it would give us the edge out on the airsoft field. Hey, what's up guys, and welcome back to another episode on Airsoft Master. And today we're going to be talking about is the Specna Arms Edge 2.0 series. Mainly in front of me I have is the SAE03 with the River Rock Arms licensing, and as well to that the E23 series in the two-tone of the Chaos Bronze. But I digress, let's actually rock into it with mainly the rails and the outer barrel. Now for the outer barrel itself, you're still going to have is a 14mm cowgirl thread, as well to that the full metal setup, so it's really durable to actually put any other tracers or even suppressors if you want to put on there. But for the rails, it's going to be a little bit different. For my SAE03, you're going to see is a standard quad rail handguard system, being around from the 12, 6, 3, and also 9 o'clock positions in regards of your 20mm Picatinny setup. So you'll be able to put any foregrips that you like on there, or even the pec box that's in front as well. But for the E23, it's still an M-lock all around from the positions of 3, 6, and 9, and 11 and 1 offset for the slots of M-lock to put any other optics, flashlights around there. But what's nice about these two that you'll see more often is the foregrips are both included. For example, on the actual E03, you'll end up with a standard vertical foregrip, and this crazy design of the angle foregrip hand stop you'll see on the E23. So for the receivers themselves, is both of them that they have in common is they're actually full metal. What's nice about full metal? Well, the fact that they're actually more durable than you'll see. And we already saw in the last videos on the Flex series is how really rugged these things are. Now as their top line models, we could probably expect a lot more than we would expect. And also one thing that comes to attention to detail is this paint job that we have. It's not really Cerakote, but it looks like it, and it looks like it could take more of a beating and a lot harder to even scratch. But either way, let's go ahead and talk about the differences on both of these guys. Now for the Specna Arms E23 series, you're going to have is the normal licensing on the actual brand itself of saying Specna Arms on the left hand side of the receiver. Now for the E03 though is kind of interesting is they got the fully licensed trades of the River Rock Arms on the lower end, which is kind of interesting. Again, a fully licensed trade of River Rock's Arms Company, which is pretty kind of cool on this setup. But as always with the back to the common parts is Specna Arms will always provide your actual serial number and a QR code to show what model lines and websites on here on the right hand side of the receiver. Nice little touches and a good attention to detail. Now for the Edge 2.0 series, mainly on the M4 line markup, is it's still the same controls of being safe, semi-full auto on the selector being on the left hand side of the receiver, and your magazine release being on the right index. Now, sorry for my lefties, but you can always adapt by just changing it using your left hand to move the actual selector and your right hand to release the magazine. But let's actually talk about something really important, is the gearbox on the Specna Edge 2.0. One thing that comes to mind is the fact that the Orion gearbox is a quick change spring system. But how do we access it? Well, for starters, we'll talk about it later on when I change it right here. Other than that, the gearbox itself, it still has one thing that also is very popular in mine, is the collaboration with another company they have. Shall we say Gate? The Specna Edge 2.0 comes provided with is the Gate ASTER system, which is a pretty nice optical sensor system to basically control your safe semi-full auto and help out with the response using the light itself to control the sector gear and also your trigger control. A big plus to adjust and everything else, and even diagnose the gun if something goes wrong. Other than that, let's actually talk about the trigger itself as well. Now with Gate, of course, they would always provide is they provided a solar trigger system on here, which is equivalent to the Quantum trigger, a very popular design and CNC made from Gate themselves. To continue off on the gearbox, not only would it have is this Gate ASTER and the actual solar trigger itself, but one thing that comes to mind is it also provides a high torque motor alongside to complement the ASTER. So it helps out with its trigger response on semi. Let's also talk about it has CNC gear sets, so it's a lot more reliable. What more do you want to put on the gun when it's already fully built, ready for any type of operations? And that's a nice little thing I would put on my book. So, for the actual solar trigger itself, one thing that I have to inform is there is no trigger trolley pull that you would feel like any other normal AEG. The fact that it's non-existent due to the fact that it detects the trigger pull by using the light sensor. Again, a lot of people don't like that because it takes away the ideal of the realism. But there is a good benefit to this. Mainly the fact that you can adjust this using the gate control station on here to adjust the gate aster to being the full trigger pull, or even the benefit of being as a shorter trigger pull to even being a hairpin. More benefits of what you want, and also to help out with any different styles that you would need. Remember how I talked about why I like the Orion gearbox, and mainly because of the fact that it has a quick change spring gearbox? How fast are we talking about? Well, it's being held by the actual castle nut and buffer tube, and that's it. When I meant quick change, I really mean it. That's the nut for the spring guide to take out. Even though it's a long thread, this is all it takes to basically change your going from going outdoors to indoors by unthreading this and changing your springs on the dot. Now, to put it back, all of a sudden you just have to put the buffer tube back, twist it through, lock it in, and then basically thread the castle nut back till it's nice and tight. Once you do that, it's sturdy as a rock. For your stock to be adjusted, all you need to do is basically push on the tab with the soft mod stock, and you can adjust it to 6 slot positions to whatever your needs is. Now, just like I stated, basically for the gun itself being wired with the gate aster, one little plus that comes with the actual gun itself is it's already wired to Dean's. Now, we all know that Dean's is way better on the connection to Tamiya because of the fact that it is a better surface connection to your battery. And better surface connection means is a faster RPS. You'd be surprised what this guy can do for just being Dean's. Now that we already talked about basically the receiver, the stock, the Mosfet, and the trigger, let's go ahead and talk about another important thing is the hop-up chamber that's on here. Just like always with Specna arms, it comes with as a standard rotary style hop-up. And of course, just like Edge 2.0, it comes with is a 603 Type 4 barrel. But wait, the fact that it comes with as well is a flat hub nub system inside the rotary style hop-up. Now you're asking, what's a flat hop? Well, a flat hop nub itself helps increase the backspin on your BBs by putting more surface contact. Think about it this way. Instead of being the standard curve where it doesn't really hold as much onto the BB itself, think of a more solid brick type. More surface to cover on the BB, which helps it out in further distance long range. You can't go wrong with that. And again, Specna Arms decided to lay no waste on this gun. I'm using 0.20 gram BBs and 11.1 LiPo battery. And now for the E23 series. Alright, so after when we chronoed the rifles, we notice on average for both of these is going to be around 370 to 400 FPS range limit with 0.20 gram BBs. But again, if you need to change your actual FPS, don't worry, as you do have the quick change spring system here on the Orion gearbox. And it's easy like I showed you guys before. So it's easy to make it from indoor to outdoor and from outdoor to indoor. The gun doesn't stop giving from just there. Now for the Edge 2.0, what's nice is the fact that it's just like Oprah, it gives you more stuff. Mainly the fact that, well, it comes with is the Tamiya to Dean's connection. So just in case if you don't have any Tamiya batteries or Dean's batteries, you can use either or to help out in picking whatever battery you want to use. Now another thing is the fact that it comes with the QR code to get to your manual on what not to do and safeties wise and maintenance wise for your Edge 2.0 series. And of course, just like the Flex, you can't go wrong with it, is more stickers. And as well is the actual indoor CQB spring alongside to help basically bring it down to the 350 FPS. But that's not it. What if they basically gave you is just not one, but two 120 round mid-cap magazines? And again, this is all the stuff you would need to go out to play in any type of field. All you would need is your face mask and you can go out there and go play. My final thoughts on the Edge 2.0. Let's face it, it blows a lot of the rifles out of the water. Mainly the fact that it comes with the Gate ASTER optical Mosfet. The only upgrade that would come up after that would be a Gate Titan, a high torque motor on the gearbox, a quick change spring system coming from the back of the buffer tube, and a spring to include it to make it CQB friendly. And as well to that, not one but two mid-cap magazines with it? I mean, what else would you want? It has the Edge, it has everything you would need, and it's nice. Now, for the price though. Now, for most of the Edge series that we've seen, mainly on the 2.0s, is it costs around the average around $309 all the way up to $380. Yes, that is steep. But if you think about it in the most logistical way is the fact that how much these parts cost. I mean, a basic Titan MOSFET or even a regular optical MOSFET can give you all the way to $100. A torque motor, basically the same price, being around $75 to $100. All these little nitpicks of parts that you would see on here would cost it probably to do a regular rifle the total of being $500 just in parts. For the fraction of the cost of doing that on here for the pricing, it's my go-to rifle, I would say so myself. But I digress on that situation. But what do you guys think about the actual Specna Arms Edge 2.0? Drop a comment on there and don't forget to like us and subscribe. And if you're looking for more products like these in Airsoft Masters, go ahead and check it out at airsoftmaster.com. My name is Mike, and I'll see you guys on the next episode.
This video is brought to you by Airsoft Master.